Okay, hey everyone. Sorry about that. We were a little bit behind schedule, so we are now here. Graham is about to join, so thanks for tuning in. And it's time for the Market Analysis episode 55 with myself, James Preston, executive editor here at Global Crypto, and our financial analyst, Graham Tennant. So we're looking forward to a good analysis of the market at the moment. It's going to be a very, very interesting one indeed. Let's tell everyone that we are indeed live here and make sure that everything is good to go and everyone knows what's happening. There we go. Make sure that everybody's got a link, that you guys all have a link. And also obviously make sure that Graham is ready. So Graham obviously hasn't got a Zoom open just yet, so we'll wait for him. And while we do so, let's have a look. Don't forget, you can ask us questions in our WhatsApp, in the YouTube chat, or in our Telegram group as well. We gladly take any questions that you have, depending on time, of course, and of course, depending on how many questions we get. We can't answer them all, but we will indeed do our best to get to as many of your questions as we possibly can. It's going to be an interesting one today because we've been hovering around that $19,000 level for quite some time. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Graham has to say and getting a nice in-depth analysis of the markets today. It's going to be good. I'm just going to open one more social media page here, obviously try and get as many people as possible aware of what's happening. Graham, good afternoon to you.
Hi, James. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Nice and hot summer's day here in KZN, KwaZulu-Natal. How are you?
I'm great.
Good to hear that. Good to hear that indeed. So how many charts are we going to look at today, Graham?
I think let's keep it simple. Let's just have a look at the Bitcoin chart. That's going to give us the big picture view of what's happening in the crypto markets. And I'm seeing an opportunity for a shorter term trade on Ripple.
Oh, very interesting. Okay, well, I think you're going to get a lot of interest from the Ripple army, that is for sure. So you have excited a lot of people right now. Okay, so before we get into it, I want to try something. I'm going to just do our little intro that we do and see if it comes across the live stream. So let's have a look, everyone, if I can get this right. So I just need to share my screen. We want to share computer sound as well, and make sure desktop one. Yep. So let's do this. Okay. Now let me know if you guys can hear the audio here. Right, thumbs up or thumbs down. Did you hear the audio of that little intro? Let's have a look what everyone says. Come on, guys, let me know there in the YouTube comments. Can you hear the audio? Obviously our YouTube stream is actually 20 seconds behind. There we go. Mark says yes. Nice one, Mark. Cool. Okay, so Graham, this edition sponsored by your friends, the Crypto Vault, cryptovault.co.za, one of the official licensed distributors of Ledger and Trezor hardware wallets. You can check them out, cryptovault.co.za. Graham, your friend Michael has been involved in alternative safe haven assets for a number of years now. He does gold and silver bullion, and of course has moved into crypto because it's just a natural progression. So Graham, thanks for introducing us to Mike, and the team there are fantastic. You can check them out, cryptovault.co.za. Graham, tell us, what do you see on the chart? Share your screen with us. Let's get straight into it.
Great. Okay, well, I'm sharing my screen. Also just a shout out for Mike and his team at Crypto Vault. Sorry, James, you need to give me permission to share my screen on your side.
Of course, I do. Let me do that as well.
Yeah, but I've used Crypto Vault and the sister company African Bullion before, and always had great service. So happy to give them some good press. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen there now, James. Can you just confirm that with me?
We can, yes.
Okay, so this is the big picture that we always start with on the Bitcoin chart. This is your 3-day chart. Beautiful break out of the symmetrical triangle. And yeah, I mean, despite the little pullback, well, I mean, say little, it was fairly significant at the time. Yeah, the pullback around Black Friday, it's really the green light and it's all systems go. And we've been charging up at great speed. So yeah, that's where we find ourselves at the moment. And my bias is still Bitcoin long. And any type of setups that we get, given the macro picture and the bullishness that we're seeing in the market, definitely still overwhelmingly bullish at this stage.
So it's really just as simple as that. You are overwhelmingly bullish. Is that bias for the short term as well? Because there's been a lot of talk of late of a short-term pullback. Are you expecting a pullback in the short term, or you just rather not talk short term right now?
No, I'm happy to drill down onto a smaller time frame. So let's drop down and have a quick look, and we can look at some of the dynamics at play. Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, I think to say that it's not going to be any short-term pullbacks would be unwise, because given the magnitude of the move we've had up, there's always a chance of getting a pullback. But the macro picture, just for me, is a big picture and the big story of which leads to that bullishness. So I mean, we did have significant drawdowns. So this was the first one that we had here, and there was a drawdown of 15%. Then we did go past all-time high at that number 2, signaled by that number 2 on the chart there, and that after that we got almost a 9% drawdown within a matter of hours. So by no means am I ruling out short-term pullbacks, and potentially even drawdowns bigger than the one that we saw around the end of last month, around the 26th, 27th. I think that up to a 30% correction is definitely on the cards at some stage, but we may well go up another 50, 60% before we see that 30% pullback. So that's why, as in my our last chat, I said, just warned against potentially waiting for the big pullback, if the 30% odd pullback to get into the market, because I think there's a decent chance that the market runs significantly away from you first before that pullback materializes. So I think that pullbacks that we get are potentially going to be quite shallow, and that's why my suggestion was to take advantage of any smallish pullbacks that we do get if you are looking to enter into the market for longer term hold positions, or even enter a portion of your funds into the market over a period of time, whether that's once a week or once every couple of days, just so you can start to get a foothold in this new asset class that I think is so exciting, and many of our viewers, I'm sure, would agree. You just don't want to be left behind, given the very macro bullish situation that we have on the cards at the moment.
All right, so this is really a case of, I mean, here's my interpretation of what you're seeing at the moment. Not necessarily opportunities for leverage trades right now, but because of this bull market and a very strong bullish bias, our long-term holdings are going to do well, and that's really where the focus is at the moment, and that's where we're going to reap the rewards and the benefits. So people that are looking for short-term entries need to be very careful. Am I right?
When you say short-term entries and being careful, I would say that where leverage is involved, absolutely. So yes, I'm expecting to make my biggest gains from these type of moves on my unleveraged long hold positions. As you said, because we've seen such a nice move, and it is challenging conditions to put on leverage trades because of this volatility that you do get along the way. So we showed that 15% pullback, a 10% pullback here. If you've got a 5% stop loss, or even a 10% stop loss, I think your time is limited before you get stopped out. Don't expect to run this from the levels that we're at now to $100,000 on a 50x long, because you're going to get stopped out along the way. So that 100%, James. I think that the takeaway for me is get a holding in Bitcoin and maybe some Ethereum, and given the moves of the market that we're getting, the gains that you make, should be happy with that. There's not too much need to leverage up significantly, given the size of the moves that we're getting just on an unleveraged position at the moment.
All right, but having said that, you mentioned right at the beginning of this analysis that you are eyeing out something on Ripple. What is it that you see there, and does that include a little bit more of an aggressive trade?
Yes, it does. So let me clarify. So that's definitely my focus again, is the long position, the long hold. But that doesn't mean that we can't look to take advantage of shorter term setups with a little bit of leverage, to give us a boost to our long-term holdings. But let's not put the cart before the horse and say, well, the leverage is our main focus. It's not. The long hold, I believe, is the main focus, and that's where you're going to get your best bang for buck. But when the opportunities do arise for short-term leverage trades, let's look if we can just top up that investment pot with some short-term gains as well. So that's what I'd like to jump into now, is the Ripple opportunity I'm seeing.
All right, show us what you have there, because
Great.
There's been a lot of talk around Ripple at the moment.
Great. Okay, so for purposes of comparison, I've just labeled these local highs that we've seen on Bitcoin, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so if we look at the Ripple chart, it's a little bit different. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 on the Ripple chart. However, you can see they've come in almost a different order. So let's look at the Bitcoin chart first. So here we had this number one, where we got close to those all-time highs but didn't quite get through. Then we had that big correction over Black Friday. Then we had a strong move, strong bounce up from those levels, and we did clear the all-time high. So that's where that number 2 is positioned. And since then, we've moved a little bit sideways, and we are getting a contraction of volatility. So I'm expecting, when we move out of that, the structure, that we'll get a fairly decent move either up or down. Okay. So it looks like it's setting up for a short-term trade, but it's not quite there for me. Whereas Ripple, you can see we've got a much cleaner setup for a symmetrical triangle on Ripple. So that's one over here, which is the same as Bitcoin. Over 2, this is where Bitcoin went to its all-time high. Ripple didn't extend as far as Bitcoin did, relatively speaking. And we have seen quite a bit of the attention shift away from Ripple. I think around that all-time high for Bitcoin, you probably find some fair bit of selling out of Ripple to go to Bitcoin, etc. That's taken the limelight the last little while. But in the meantime, Ripple's slowly been contracting, getting that squeeze of volatility, and that gets me interested from a short-term leverage trade point of view. So I think what we could see is a little bit of further weakness for Ripple, perhaps around about the 59, 58 cent level. So that's where I'm looking for my entry. And I'm then looking to put my stop loss just below this previous low. So if it moves below this low, then I'm not really interested anymore, because then I think there's a decent chance that a bearish move has more chance of materializing. So that's when I'm willing to take my stop loss. And as a target, I'm eyeing out the 90 cents and even the $1 level as potential take profit targets. So, and that's a decent risk reward ratio. So 90 cents would see us at a 5.8 risk reward ratio, and $1 move would be around 7.5 risk reward ratio. So that's really good. And I mean, we've seen the bullishness and the volatility that's associated with Ripple in the previous move. So if we do get a breakout to the upside of this symmetrical triangle, I think that we could move towards that target quite quickly.
Yeah, and it's interesting that the symmetrical triangle is squeezing to a point near the 12 December area, because that is actually when the Spark token airdrop takes place. So the snapshot of Ripple wallets, or XRP rather, Ripple's the network, XRP the token, the snapshot of XRP wallets will take place on the 12th of December midnight UTC, which means that if we are going to see an aggressive move, and I know this is very fundamental, but if there was ever a time for fundamentals to impact price movements, it's these airdrops that take place, because it just causes a bunch of users to climb into the market to try and get a whole bunch of Ripple to take advantage of what is in essence free tokens, right? So these airdrops really attract users into the market. And so this technical analysis is aligning quite nicely with that Spark token airdrop happening on the 12th of December.
Yeah, well, I mean, very, very often we see the technicals mirror the fundamental picture. So that's, I mean, I was aware of the drop of the tokens. What do you call it? A token airdrop. But wasn't very aware of the date when that was occurring. So yeah, that's very interesting news. I must actually keep an eye on that. And yeah, look, I think often with those type of news, it's almost buy the rumor, sell the news type of story. So yeah, we'll just have to see how this plays out. And yeah, look, I mean, again, when you get this contraction of volatility, yeah, we could get a move to the downside almost just as easily as we could get a move to the upside. So you might find that yes, buy the rumor, sell the news type of narrative plays out in any case. But this is why, you know, the risk reward ratio is important in this scenario. Is that, you know, even if we do have a 50% win ratio, would be fantastic, because then we're going to be making, you know, 5+ a reward of 5+ units, call it that, for every 1 unit of risk that you're taking, which would give you, you know, a very good long-term profitability scenario. So yeah, interesting, James. I'll definitely throw that into my thought process when putting on this trade.
Well, I'm sure that the various community groups are going to be chatting about that Ripple airdrop. It's been a topic of hot conversation in a couple of the groups. So Graham, just before we wrap it up, if there is anybody that would like to ask any questions, due to our 20-second delay on the live stream from when we are actually live to the broadcast that you are seeing on YouTube right now, just give you a chance to ask your questions. Drop them into the YouTube comments there. We'll take a question or two. We'd love to answer your questions. You're welcome to do it in the Telegram group or in the WhatsApp group. And we will see how many of those questions we can take. We'd love to answer at least 1 or 2 of them. Graham, anything else from your side before we do look at any questions that come through?
No, I mean, just to reiterate, I do think on the bigger term time frame, we are going to see further upside. Yes, we may get a pullback either now or later. It's inevitable. But you know, don't let that scare you off. And I think, you know, there's lots of talk of weekends in the market that have been shaken out, you know, since the highs that we had previously. So yeah, don't be sitting there with your mouse hovering over the sell button. If we do get some volatility to the downside, I think that, you know, the macro picture still is bullish. So yeah, you know, for me personally, I'm looking to definitely hold for the long term and hope for more price appreciation.
Okay, so we've got one question that comes through here. I know we have had this question in a similar vein, but Serpent 1803 asks, any particular thoughts on XRP BTC chart? Do you have any interest in the XRP BTC market, or for you, is it just easier to trade XRP USD?
So the only real time that I will look at the XRP Bitcoin chart is to look for relative strength or weakness in a specific coin. So, I mean, if I just remove this down here, yeah, this will give us a very interesting picture of what's happened to Ripple over an extended period of time. So this massive, you know, these massive green candles here were all at the end of 2017, and that was the height of the crypto run, but especially the altcoin run, and that's when Ripple did some incredible things. But since then, you know, beyond, you know, also a quick spike there, September 2018, it's just been a slow bleed that Ripple has slowly given away market cap to Bitcoin, relatively speaking. But it does show you that it has these periods and has the propensity to have these massive upside moves when when the market conditions are right. So it's a very interesting coin. I don't exactly understand the fundamentals behind it. It'd be very interesting to maybe hear some of the thoughts from some of our group members on the WhatsApp group. But yeah, it's typically slow bleed, give it away, and then once the blue moon, you just see an absolute moonshot. So we could be seeing the start of that now. Perhaps these are just the the beginning stages of some further upside. I at least do think there's a decent chance of that in the short term. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for on this chart, and we can see obviously really good moves from Ripple in recent days. Will it challenge Ripple in the long term? I mean, Bitcoin in the long term, I really don't think so. For me, Ripple's not a buy and hold type of coin, but it is very useful when you are looking to leverage up and take advantage of some of these short-term price spikes that we do see occasionally.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, it does make sense to trade what you are more comfortable with, and I'd imagine XRP BTC markets and most BTC markets would be more accessible during an alt season. And officially, I wouldn't say we're in alt season just yet. And that's where we would need to analyze things like the Bitcoin market dominance, which we can do another time. So Paul Francis just wants to make a comment. So we're just wrapping up here. Paul says that XRP BTC does look good on his 1 hour analysis. Paul Francis, one of our very active members in the Global Crypto groups on our WhatsApp group and in our Telegram group. So if those of you that are watching overseas, we do have our WhatsApp group, which you can apply for on our website. But as that fills up, we are very active on Telegram as well. Paul also says that XLM USD looks good. So keep an eye on XLM USD. Graham, I think we're going to leave it there. We are well over time. So thank you so much for that analysis. Very helpful and interesting indeed.
Great. Just one point on Paul's comment there. Yeah, I have found XLM to be, I mean, it's almost like Ripple's little sister. It always likes to come along for the ride with Big Brother when he decides to make a move. So if you do miss a move on Ripple, often XLM is the next one to go. So Ripple's also a little bit of a canary in the coal mine for XLM. So that's took advantage of that earlier on the first Ripple move, and I managed to get some XLM. And XLM also moves incredibly with incredible velocity when it does decide to go. So yeah, I do like XLM as well as a short-term trading option.
Okay, Graham, thanks so much. This edition is proudly sponsored by Crypto Vault. Check them out, www.cryptovault.co.za. They are official licensed distributors of Ledgers and Trezor hardware wallets, very, very well reputed as well. And they give great delivery times around the South African region. So cryptovault.co.za, and they'll give you great service as well. Also want to ask, if you are watching this for the first time, if you don't subscribe to Global Crypto, please do so. Just hit the subscribe button. We're only 67 at the moment, at the time of recording, 67 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers. It'd be great for us to hit that little mark. We'd appreciate you just hitting the subscribe button and perhaps share this analysis with some of your friends. Global Crypto's YouTube channel would appreciate your support. So there we go. Until next time, from myself, James Preston.
And myself, Graham Tennant.
It's goodbye for now. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers for now.
Awesome, Graham.